I had just started a part-time job as a DoorDash food delivery driver, hoping to save up a little money over the summer. My first order came from a place I had never heard of, Garden of Grace. It had no reviews, just a suspiciously long vegan menu and prices so low they felt like a glitch. But the app marked it as open, and someone had placed an order, so I accepted. The restaurant was tucked behind a row of closed storefronts, nearly invisible unless you knew where to look. As I stepped inside, a wave of damp, earthy air greeted me, carrying the scent of mushrooms and rotting leaves. The kitchen was dimly lit, and the man behind the counter barely acknowledged me, his bald head shining with sweat beneath the dull light and his stained shirt clinging damply to his body. He handed me a box of vegan roast, which despite everything smelled surprisingly appetizing. I delivered the food to a quiet neighborhood and stopped at an ivy-covered house, where a middle-aged woman greeted me with a warm smile.
You must be Ron. I'm Lily. I've been a vegetarian since I was 5, and my favorite diner just shut down. But this new place, what a treat. Thank you so much.
She even tipped me extra, told me she appreciated my service. That small kindness stayed with me. It felt like a promising start. The next day, the same order came through, from Garden of Grace to Lily's house. When I arrived, she was practically glowing. She said the food tasted fresher than anything she had ever had, and she was planning to order from them every day. Her little dog, Lulu, barked excitedly around her feet as we spoke. There was something comforting about the whole scene. Soon it became routine. Every afternoon I picked up an order from the restaurant, delivered it to Lily, and spent a minute or two chatting on her porch while Lulu bounced happily nearby. I started to wonder about the food myself. One afternoon, while waiting, I glanced into the kitchen and caught a glimpse of the owner slicing something oddly veined and glistening. It looked unsettling, almost like raw animal organs. When I asked, he said it was a special mushroom he grew himself, the secret to the flavor. I didn't ask more, but after several deliveries, something began to feel off. Lulu no longer greeted me. I would hear faint whimpers from inside, but the door opened only a crack, and Lily would stand there smiling strangely, her eyes unfocused and glassy. I asked about the dog. She waved it off and said Lulu was just tired lately, that dogs went through phases. I didn't press her and simply turned to leave. A few days later, I noticed a red-brown smear near the collar of her blouse. Her hair was messier than usual, and an odor hung in the air like meat left out too long. Still, she smiled politely, handed me the tip, and closed the door. As I headed back to my scooter, I realized I had forgotten to give her the receipt. I turned around, climbed her steps, and glanced through the garden gate. I stopped cold. Lily was crouched in the yard, her back hunched, her head tilted downward. At first, it looked like she was devouring something small, her mouth dark and wet, her eyes wide and blank. I could have sworn I saw feathers between her teeth and a shimmer of blood on her lips. My heart was pounding like it was trying to break out of my chest. I rubbed my eyes, hoping I was seeing it wrong. Then she looked up, and something shifted. A small sparrow perched on her hand, pecking at seeds in her open palm. She didn't move, just smiled, too wide, too eager, like someone quietly craving what they shouldn't. In her eyes, behind the softness, a hunger flickered. Quiet, but impossible to miss. The next day felt no different. I picked up her usual order from Garden of Grace. The man behind the counter didn't say a word, just slid the box across with that same blank expression. His apron looked stiffer than usual, crusted with something I didn't want to name. I took the box and left. When I arrived, Lily was waiting at the door. She told me, with an oddly serene smile, that she wouldn't be ordering anymore. Said she had found something better, something real. I didn't know what she meant, but I nodded anyway. Then she invited me in. She wanted to share a meal to thank me for my service. Her house smelled of herbs, rosemary, garlic, but underneath that, something deeper lingered. It made my stomach tighten. I sat at her table and stared at the familiar dishes I had delivered so many times. The same mushrooms glazed in dark sauce, the same vibrant vegetables. I told myself it was only food, just vegan food. I took a bite, then another. The flavors were overwhelming, warm, rich, almost intoxicating. I kept eating, barely noticing Lily watching me with a strange, tilted smile. Then the pain came. My stomach twisted violently, my throat burned. The room tilted and my heart thudded so hard I thought it might burst. I looked up at Lily, and she no longer looked like a person. Her skin seemed translucent, and the scent of her, warm and sweet and almost savory, filled my lungs in a way that made me forget how afraid I was. I could hear a voice in the back of my mind urging me to try just a little more. Just one taste. Before I could move, Lily lunged across the table and sank her teeth into my forearm. I screamed and shoved her away, stumbling to my feet as the chair crashed behind me. She snarled, blood on her lips, eyes black and wild. I shouted at her, demanded to know what she had done to me, but she didn't answer. She couldn't. Something feral had taken over, and I could feel a matching hunger stirring deep inside me, crawling through my body like fire. My thoughts scattered. My hands moved without my command. I could feel my teeth clenching, my mouth watering. Everything after that was a blur. I remember her face twisted in a snarl, my fingers grabbing at flesh, the warmth of something too soft between my teeth. I couldn't stop.
No one knows it's fake vegan meat. As long as it turns a profit, why bother caring about the rest?
Let's go vegan, okay? That way our bodies will feel all refreshed, right?
I'd been driving nearly 9 hours, the highway unfurling endlessly beneath my tires like a black tongue. The last gas stop was far behind me, and my phone, with its signal fading, had dropped to 9% battery. The GPS kept flickering, struggling to hold on like it was gasping for air. Night had fallen thick and starless, the forest pressing in on both sides of the road. No cars passed, no lights appeared, only the tunnel of trees and my headlights cutting through the dark. I hadn't eaten since noon, and the mix of hunger and fatigue was making my vision blur. That was when I spotted it, a flickering neon light shining faintly through the trees. As I approached, I saw a faded sign reading, "Open 24/7. A dim neon glow hanging above a rundown drive-through burger shack that looked like an old McDonald's, standing alone at a forest junction. The place seemed abandoned with chipped paint and grimy windows. But the lights were still on, and that was enough. I pulled in, lowered my window, and rolled up to the service screen. "Can I get a large rare beef burger? And a Coke?" No reply. Not at first. Then the window slid open, and a man stepped into view. Gaunt, almost skeletal, pale as wax. His eyes were wrong somehow. Like he wasn't looking at me. Not really. Just through me. He nodded once, wordless, then turned and shuffled into the back. A few minutes later, he returned with a white paper bag. I reached for my wallet to pay, but he didn't even glance at my hand. Just handed me the food and said in a flat voice,
"First sign, turn right."
I blinked. "Sorry, what?" He repeated with the exact same rhythm, the exact same blank expression.
"First sign, turn right."
"Right," I said awkwardly, "thanks." I rolled up the window and pulled out of the lot, still chewing over his strange demeanor. My stomach growled. I balanced the paper bag on my knee, unwrapped the burger, and took a bite. The meat was cold and sour, with a metallic tang that reminded me of rust. I tried to chew, but the taste turned my stomach. I spat it into the wrapper, tossed the burger onto the back seat and sighed. But whatever, it didn't matter anymore. I just needed to follow the guy's directions. First sign, turn right, and I'd be back on the highway, back to civilization. I turned right at the first sign, just as he told me. But as I kept driving, a strange feeling settled in. This road looked too familiar. The trees outside looked familiar. A certain jagged stump, a pothole on the asphalt I swore I had already swerved around. I shook my head. Just fatigue playing tricks. Then, as I crested a gentle bend in the road, I saw it. Again, that strange McDonald's-looking burger joint. The open 24/7 sign still flickered. The facade was crumbling, and the same man leaned out of the window staring at me with that vacant gaze. I slammed on the brakes, my heart lurched. I rolled down the window. "I already came through here, I followed your instructions." He didn't blink, just handed out another bag, identical to the last one. No words this time, just that motionless stare. "I don't want this," I said, pushing the bag back toward him. But before I could finish, the lights inside the building went out. The windows slammed shut. In that instant, he was gone. No sound, no movement, just darkness pressing in around me. I hit the gas and sped off, barely breathing. This time, I didn't trust the man's directions. My phone buzzed again. 5% now. I followed the faint GPS signal instead, choosing a different road. After a while, I reached a rusted, nearly unreadable sign. The first sign. I slowed down and stopped at the junction, realizing with a jolt that somehow I was back at that same split in the road. I could either go straight or turn right. My hand hovered over the wheel, unsure. And just then, my phone went black, cutting off the last thread of direction I had. And then I heard it. A voice, soft and close, rising from the back seat.
"Turn right."
My throat clenched. I froze, breath trapped in my chest. Slowly, I turned my head. He was sitting there, the man from the drive-thru, but now his skin was ashen grey, stretched too tightly over his skull. His lips were split, blue and torn, and his eyes stared blankly, empty of anything human. As I watched, his face twitched, and he leaned forward, his jaw opening wide, too wide, tearing open at the edges with a wet crack as if his skin had split from the strain. I screamed and flung open the car door, stumbling out and crashing into the underbrush. I ran, branches clawing at my arms, my breath tearing through my throat. The forest closed in around me, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. I had to get away. I broke through the trees and found myself standing once more in front of the burger shack. But this time, it wasn't just decayed. It was rotting. The windows were shattered. The neon sign blinked in a deep, wound-like red, and dark smears on the cracked glass looked disturbingly like blood. The air reeked of raw meat and burnt rubber. My legs gave out, and I dropped to my knees, gasping for breath. Behind me, something scraped across the pavement. I turned slowly as the sound grew louder, a dragging noise like bone against asphalt. There he was again, but he no longer looked human. His uniform was soaked in dried blood, one sleeve torn, and an arm twisted unnaturally behind him. His mouth was fixed in a wide grin, tongue lolling, as he dragged a bloody drive-through headset behind him, its speaker crackling faintly. He stepped closer. I couldn't move.
Your turn.
He said, voice rasping like dry leaves. Then darkness swallowed me. I don't know how long it's been. Time doesn't seem to work here. But I'm here now. Behind the glass, staring through it, waiting for the next car. A girl just pulled in. Her voice is bright as she orders a burger and asks how to get back to the city. The radio in her car murmurs something about Highway 47, something about 20 disappearances, no bodies ever found. I smile. First sign, turn right. I always knew taking a night shift at a rundown Burger King was a bad idea, but I needed the job. Bills don't pay themselves. The manager who hired me over a rushed Zoom call barely gave details, just that the branch had seen staffing issues and needed someone to turn things around. Sounded like typical corporate nonsense. But when I arrived, the place was a dump. Faded signage, flickering lights, and an old, greasy smell that clung to the air. There were no other employees, just me, alone. At around 10:30 p.m., the glass doors swung open, and he walked in. A clown, not the friendly balloon-twisting type. This guy looked wrong. His red wig was disheveled, makeup smeared, and his yellow jumpsuit stained with something dark. He strutted to the counter, grinning like he knew something I didn't.
Give me a Big Mac,
he said, voice raspy like he'd been laughing too much. I forced a smile, punched in his order, and watched as he took the burger, unwrapped it, took one slow bite, then suddenly spat it onto the floor.
Ugh, disgusting. This is not Big Mac. What a joke.
His eyes locked onto mine, and for a moment I felt small, like I was the joke. I turned to grab a napkin, and when I looked back, he was gone. No footsteps, no exit bell, just an uneaten burger sitting perfectly on the tray. But I just saw him bite into it. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Something was wrong with this place. The first thing I thought was that I needed to hire more staff so I wouldn't feel so alone. I took the hiring notice and posted it on the front glass door. The power flickered. The hum of the freezer stuttered, and the overhead lights dimmed into a sickly orange glow. Then from behind me,
I'm so hungry, but not for this trash. Give me a Big Mac!
I spun around. The restaurant was empty,
Give me a Big Mac!
but the voice, it came from the counter. And then I saw it. A plastic king figurine, the kind used for kids' meals, sat on the register. It hadn't been there before, and yet its mouth moved, the crackling speaker inside letting out a distorted, static-filled voice.
Where's my Big Mac? Give me a Big Mac!
I picked it up. It was light, no batteries. I dropped it, stomach twisting. A loud bang echoed from the back storage room. Something, or someone, was inside. I pushed the door open, the cold air hitting me like a slap. The room was a mess. Boxes toppled over, plastic wrap torn apart. But the worst part, the life-sized Burger King mascot statue, the one usually propped near the entrance, was here, and there was a knife plunged into its chest. Dark red liquid seeped down the golden robe. It looked like ketchup at first, then I touched it. It was warm. My breath hitched. That wasn't ketchup. Then I heard it. A wet, gurgling chuckle from the dark corner of the room. A shadow moved. A figure stepped forward, illuminated by the flickering light. I saw the white-painted face first, stretched into an unnatural smile. His red lips curled upward, but his eyes were empty.
This dump shouldn't even exist. Everyone knows McDonald's runs the game.
I recognized the yellow jumpsuit, the red wig, the grease-stained gloves. Ronald McDonald, or something pretending to be him. He raised his hand. A rusted butcher knife glinted in the dim light. I stumbled back. My heart slammed against my ribs.
Give me a Big Mac!
Then, he lunged. I barely dodged, his knife slicing through my uniform sleeve. My hands scrambled for anything. A weapon, a shield, when my fingers brushed against a cast iron pan on a nearby shelf. I grabbed it and swung with everything I had. The impact sent Ronald crashing to the floor, limbs twitching. His grin never faded. Even as his head lolled unnaturally to the side, he kept smiling. I didn't wait. I ran. I sprinted down the highway, lungs burning, until I spotted a police cruiser parked by a gas station. I banged on the window, yelling. The officers stepped out, eyes narrowing as they took in my blood-streaked uniform and frantic babbling. I told them everything, but they didn't react. They looked past me, talking into their radios.
Yeah, we found the scene.
One officer said.
Looks like it's been abandoned for decades, but there's something else.
I waved my arms. Hey, listen to me, I'm right here. No response. I reached for one officer's shoulder and my hand passed right through him. A deep, suffocating dread settled in my chest. I turned. The officers were standing by the Burger King lot. Only, it wasn't a restaurant anymore. Just a crumbling sign, half buried in the dirt.
Jesus.
One officer muttered.
Over here.
I followed his gaze and saw my own body, lying in the dirt. Gimme a Big Mac.
Thank you, sir. Enjoy your drink. My special customer, served with a special drink. One with my own secret spice. His name is Carter. Just an ordinary office worker from the building across the street, right opposite the cafe where I work part-time. I love Carter. He's also the only reason I've stuck with this boring, low-paying job for a whole year.
See you this afternoon, Ashley. Your coffee is so good, I might as well replace water with it.
I want to see him, make his coffee every day. And one day, he'll be mine. And that day is coming soon. I've been secretly adding pure caffeine powder to Carter's coffee for the past 3 months. He's so addicted to my coffee now that he comes back 3 times a day. Working at the cafe is pretty easy. During office hours, barely anyone leaves their desk for coffee. But that's only true for those who aren't addicted. Carter, on the other hand, my Carter, has been hooked on my coffee for months. I can predict the exact second he'll walk through that door. I head back behind the counter, preparing a special cup for my special customer. A black coffee, extra strong, overloaded with caffeine. and today's secret ingredient, my sweat. I believe that by passively absorbing my essence, Carter will unconsciously feel closer to me. With the perfect mix of science and mysticism, Carter will be mine soon. Today, I want Carter to receive my essence at the highest level, my menstrual blood.
Ashley, the coffee tastes a bit weird today. Kinda metallic.
Carter, you've already drunk my blood. From now on, you belong to me, okay? I love you so much, ever since the first time we met at this cafe.
You're insane. I could never love a lunatic like you.
Haha. Finally, I confessed my feelings to him. His reaction? Exactly as expected. But I'm not worried. Carter is addicted to my coffee. He'll come back soon. He has no choice. As I was cleaning up the cafe, waiting for Carter to come back, a rude customer suddenly barged in.
Who the hell is Ashley? Get out here!
I looked up, shocked to see Carter standing next to the loudmouth. But the way they stood together seemed too close.
Babe, is this the freak you were talking about?
I froze. Carter has a boyfriend? No way. Carter pressed a quick kiss on Chris's cheek, then shot me a look full of disgust.
Chris is my boyfriend. You should give up on your sick obsession.
I snapped. I screamed, slamming my fist on the table, my eyes darting around for something, anything, a weapon. My fingers wrapped around a steaming hot cup of coffee from the machine, and then I threw it straight at their faces. They betrayed me. Now they'll have to live with their scarred, ugly faces, forever marked, forever judged. The scalding coffee splashed onto that home-wrecking bastard's skin. His agonizing screams filled the cafe, sending a rush of satisfaction through me like never before.
You crazy bitch! I'll kill you!
Chris, calm down. You're burned. I need to get you to a hospital. We'll deal with her later.
Their threats snapped me back to reality. They would come for me. I had to get out. Fast. I got fired. Of course it was that bastard Carter. He must have ratted me out to the cops and my boss. If he dared to betray me, if he wouldn't let me live in peace, then I'd drag him straight to hell with me. That night, I slipped into the cafe and swapped the sugar syrup with pure caffeine. Carter was addicted. He'd be back for his fix. But this time, he'd be drinking poison. Before leaving, I hid a small camera behind the counter. I wanted to see everything. I wanted to enjoy it. The next day, I sat in front of my computer, eyes glued to the live feed from the cafe. Just as I predicted, they had hired a new barista, and Carter, still convinced this place had the best coffee, came back for his usual fix. Through the camera, I noticed he looked exhausted. Taking care of that sick boyfriend must be tough, huh?
What kind of crap is this? Did you forget the sugar? Trying to choke me or what?
Oh, Carter, that coffee was never meant to be sweet. But don't worry, it's packed with caffeine. Just drink up, and it'll ease your suffering. Haha. I zoomed in on Carter's cup, watching the barista pump syrup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bumps should be enough. Carter downed his coffee in frustration, while I silently savored the moment. I stared at the screen, heart pounding, waiting for my masterpiece to unfold. And just as I hoped, the caffeine overdose hit. Hard. His body convulsed, foam bubbled from his mouth, like a fish gasping on dry land. I closed my laptop and took a slow sip of my Starbucks. Revenge had never tasted so sweet. I am Clara, as you may know, and currently I work as a TikTok streamer. I started gaining fame on social media platforms thanks to my cosplay videos wearing furry costumes, also known as fursuits. It may seem a bit strange, but the characters I cosplay have a surprisingly loyal and steady fan base. Thanks to the donations they send me during my live streams, I'm able to maintain a pretty comfortable and stable life. However, to be honest, I don't really enjoy this job that much. The simple reason is that I'm actually allergic to these furry materials. But once the camera is on, I transform into a genuine persona, the idol of the furry-loving community. After an exhausting live stream, I quickly took off my fursuit and rushed into the bathroom. In the mirror, my body was covered in red rashes, a common reaction to my allergy. I scrubbed my skin vigorously to make sure there weren't any stray hairs stuck on me. After an hour of washing up, I finally felt clean, relaxing on my bed. I started reviewing the donations I'd received. Looking at the top fan list, I was surprised to see one account had donated up to 1,800 coins. Curious, I clicked on the profile and saw that it was a new account that only followed me. While I was still processing this, the account sent me a message. I opened it, trying to appear friendly in my response. We chatted for a bit. Then the account sent me a photo that left me horrified. I could clearly see my home address on a package in the photo. How could he know where I live? I was about to ask when he transferred me an additional $1,000. He said he wanted me to accept this special gift as a simple way to show his admiration for me. I convinced myself to believe his explanation and quickly ended the conversation. The next morning, I found the package sitting outside my front door. I cautiously looked around, but there was no one suspicious in sight. I hurriedly brought the package inside. As soon as I opened the box, a sharp smell of leather hit my nose. Inside was an animal costume made from real Arctic fox fur. A chilling feeling washed over me, making me feel nauseous. I wanted to throw this thing out of my house immediately. Right at that moment, my phone rang. It was that strange account again. I had only just brought the package inside for less than 5 minutes. How could he possibly know? I was sure I was being watched. He sent another message, demanding that I wear the fursuit and go lives that very night. The casual tone of his command made me feel even more uneasy, until I could figure out the identity of the mysterious account owner. I was forced to follow every command he gave, watching each velvety hair move gently in unison. A few strands shedding and drifting in the air. I felt like those hairs would somehow find their way into my lungs and suffocate me. Or perhaps they would pierce my skin through the pores. Horrifying images flashed through my mind, but I clenched my teeth and forced myself to put on the costume. The livestream began, and that demonic account appeared first, as if it had been waiting for me for a long time. The overwhelming smell of leather inside the suit made me feel like I was going to pass out. When the livestream ended, I quickly took off the suit to check my body, but the sight before me filled me with horror. The protective layer I wore underneath seemed corroded, torn, with patches of skin exposed and covered in red rashes. I was certain there was something wrong with this fursuit. Or maybe it was infested with some bizarre insect like lice. Panicked, I rushed into the bathroom, desperately trying to scrub every last bit of fur off my body. That night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep, feeling an unbearable itch crawling all over me. The next morning, the red rashes on my skin hadn't subsided. Instead, they had worsened, turning into frightening blisters. I quickly looked for my allergy medicine, only to realize I had already used it all up last night. And then came that damn Love Clara account again. He asked if I had been itching all night. I was sure he knew about my allergy to fur. I was furious and desperate to uncover his identity. Just then, he sent me a video clip, a part of my past I wanted to bury forever. The clip that went viral in the furry community was, in fact, the very same one filmed and uploaded by the bullies from my high school days as a twisted trophy. They mocked my chubby figure and large chest, thrilled to capture my allergic reaction to fur on camera. They took my suffering as their entertainment. It's ironic, but those very clips made me famous. I dropped out trying to escape that school and started streaming to make a living. Now those bullies have come back, trying to ruin my life all over again. The bully demanded that I wear the fox suit and go outside. Fearing he might publicly expose something even more humiliating, I reluctantly obeyed. I walked, keeping an eye on my surroundings, trying to rush to the pharmacy as quickly as possible. After finally buying allergy medication, all I wanted was to get home, wash up, and get rid of the itching all over my body. But just then, a crowd surrounded me. Cameras pointed at me from all directions, scaring me as people's faces lit up with excitement. Each one shouting my name, claiming to be a fan, asking me to perform for them. I wanted to run, but I knew this had to be part of the bully's plan, and he was probably hiding somewhere within the crowd. So, I had no choice but to stay and start dancing as they requested. I could feel the blisters on my body bursting one by one. The itchiness faded, replaced by a burning, stinging pain. I stood there dancing endlessly like a soulless puppet, feeling no pain, no exhaustion, because in front of me were my genuine fans. Without their love, I had nothing left. I danced until my body could no longer stand, and the shadows closed in around me. When I regained consciousness, I found myself lying in a hospital bed. I tried to take off the fur suit, but I couldn't. The costume had fused with my raw, damaged skin. Each strand of fur seemed to be growing directly from my flesh. I had become a real furry.
I have always believed that knowledge is power. A glimpse into the future, a mere whisper of what is to come, would be enough to change the course of fate. And why shouldn't I be the one to wield such power? I was beautiful. I was intelligent. I was persuasive. There was nothing I could not obtain. So when Apollo came to me offering the greatest gift of all, the sight beyond time, I did not hesitate. But the gods are never so generous.
Love me,
He murmured, his golden hands caressing the air between us.
and I will make you the voice of the gods.
I laughed. Did he think I would give my heart so freely? I wanted his gift, not his affections. I turned away. His face did not twist in rage, nor did he strike me down. No, his vengeance was crueler. He left me my gift, the sight of what is to come, but stripped me of the power to change it.
You will see the doom of all you love, yet your words will fall like wind upon deaf ears. This is my gift to you, Cassandra, and you will pray for death before the end.
I thought his curse meant disbelief, but now I know the truth. His punishment is far worse. The first time I saw the future, it was like drowning. I fell to my knees, clutching my throat, my vision blackening at the edges. Images tore through my mind like rusted daggers, smoke rising from the walls of Troy, the sky painted in hues of blood. I opened my mouth to scream, but only black bile poured forth, thick and reeking of decay. It dribbled down my chin, burned my throat, filled my lungs. I gasped for air. The court recoiled from me. She's gone mad, someone whispered. My father, King Priam, looked at me with something that was not quite fear, but something worse. Pity. I wiped my mouth, my fingers stained black. Troy will burn, I rasped. Paris must not go to Sparta. He must not take Helen. If he does, we are all dead. Silence. Then laughter. The nobles shook their heads, exchanging knowing glances. Poor Cassandra, they murmured. She was always strange. Paris smiled, placing a hand on my shoulder.
Sister, you worry too much. The gods favor us.
I stared at him, watching as behind him, his face melted into something grotesque. His skull split open, his flesh rotted away, his eyes sunken and black with death. But when I blinked, he was normal again. He left for Sparta the next morning. The prophecies did not stop. Each time they came, they took more of me. My body weakened. My skin grew clammy, stretched too tight over my bones. My hands shook. And always, after every vision, the bile would rise, spilling from my lips in thick, oozing waves. The people whispered, She's cursed. She speaks of death, and death follows. She brings ruin. My father locked me away. Guards stood at my door. The palace halls echoed with my screams. I saw it all. The siege, the starvation, the slaughter. My brothers cut down, my father's blood staining the marble floors, my people screaming as they burned. And yet, I was powerless. Helen arrived in Troy, her beauty shining like a cursed star. I lunged at her, shrieking, "You are death! You will destroy us all!" The black bile poured from my lips, pooling at my feet. The smell of rot filled the air. Helen did not flinch. She merely tilted her head, smiling, and whispered,
"Then let it begin."
The war dragged on. Years of blood, of bodies piled high at the gates. I warned them, Troy will fall, Troy will fall. But my words meant nothing. Then, one day, the battlefield was empty. The Greeks were gone, and in their place, a gift, a massive wooden horse standing silently outside the gates. No, this was a trick. I saw them already, the warriors hiding inside, their blades gleaming in the dark. I saw them emerging in the dead of night, slaughtering my people as they slept. I saw fire licking at the walls, the screams of children, the streets running red. The bile rose as I screamed, my voice raw and broken. "Burn it! Burn it now before it's too late!" They laughed. They called me a madwoman, a harbinger of doom. "Enough, Cassandra," they spat. "Enough of your madness." The gates opened. The horse was brought inside. That night, the slaughter began. I awoke to the scent of blood. The screams of my people filled the air. The Greeks were everywhere, their blades cutting through flesh, their torches setting the city ablaze. Smoke burned my lungs and I stumbled through the chaos, my dress drenched in bile and blood. The visions flashed faster now. Priam's throat slit open, my brothers' heads on spikes, the temple floors slick with gore. I saw it all before it happened, my mind screaming warnings that no one could hear. Apollo's laughter echoed through the flames. This was his curse. Not just that no one believed me, but that I had to witness it all. Again, and again, and again. I was dragged from the burning ruins, my wrists bound. The Greeks would not kill me yet. I was to be taken, a prize of war. I lifted my gaze one final time. Apollo stood in the smoke, his golden eyes gleaming. He had won. Troy was gone. But I remained, a prophetess of death, a ghost in my own skin. I would live, and I would see every horror yet to come.
I'm Dakin, a hacker quietly working in the shadows of the deep web. My job is pretty straightforward. Break in, collect sensitive information about women I happen to see on trains, in supermarkets or on the streets, and sell it. That night, while I was uploading a few screenshots of stolen messages onto my deep web account, a customer placed an order. Their request was simple. Spy on the messages of any female student on the subway. I frowned. A strange request, but nothing too difficult for me. Putting on a pair of contact lenses with a hidden camera and a wide-brimmed hat to conceal my face, I stepped out of my apartment and got to work. At 4 p.m, I was on the subway. It wasn't rush hour yet, so the train wasn't too crowded. I quickly scanned the passengers. A short-haired schoolgirl sitting alone caught my eye. She was leaning against the door, her fingers flying across her phone screen. She was the perfect target for today. I pretended to be just another passenger and casually moved closer to her without raising any suspicion. She glanced at me briefly before going back to her texting. Feeling confident, I silently hoped I'd find something interesting to dig up today. It seemed like she was texting a boyfriend named Naga. At first, the messages were pretty ordinary, just small talk and some random complaints. But then the tone began to shift. The words started to change. I began to feel intrigued, waiting for something shady to show up. Strange words appeared. Handle, bury, grind, and finally the head. I held my breath, unable to look away. I was reading the messages of a killer. The next message shocked me to my core. It was a photo of the victim. For a moment, I was frozen in disbelief. Then it hit me. I knew the victim all too well. Months ago, a Telegram account named You hired me to gather every detail about this man. From the way she spoke, I could tell my client was a young woman, while the target was a married man. And now, he was dead. Had I indirectly sent him to his death? Lost in thought, I suddenly jolted back to reality when I noticed the girl had turned around, her eyes locked onto mine.
Stop snooping,
she said, her voice calm but chilling. I cowardly avoided her gaze, pretending I didn't know anything. I tried to act normal, but then her phone chimed with a new message. My curiosity got the better of me, and I stole another glance. The message was from her boyfriend. My heart nearly stopped. I realized I'd crossed a line, and now I was in the sights of two killers. The girl turned to me again, this time flashing a twisted, eerie smile.
Yes.
The blood in my veins turned to ice. I stumbled back, hitting the train door. Without wasting another second, I bolted, running toward the last car of the train. I thought I could escape. After getting back to my apartment, I locked the door. 3 layers of locks. I leaned against it, gasping for air, trying to calm myself. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was that You account again. They sent me a video. My hands froze as I stared at the screen, fear rising in my chest. But I couldn't fight my curiosity and tapped to open it. The video! It was me, running back to my apartment. They had been watching me. My hidden camera lenses, they hacked them. My heart raced. Then I heard it, the sound of my electronic lock. Someone was entering my passcode. Before I could react, the door was kicked hard. The locks I thought would protect me started to give way. Panicking, I ran toward the window, but just as I reached it, the glass shattered. Shards flew across the room. She walked in. Yuko, a knife strapped to her thigh, her cold, predatory eyes locking onto mine. I screamed, my voice cracking. "You're you! I gave you the information you wanted. We had a fair deal. Why are you after me?"
"Because you know too much."
Before I could react, Naga appeared behind me, grabbing my arms and pinning me in place. I struggled, yelling for help, but it was useless. Yuko stepped closer, her voice cold and even.
I've discovered that handling someone is quite fun. And your deep web account, your client list, that's exactly what I need to hunt down my next victims.
I used to be adored. They called me a natural beauty, effortless, untouched, the golden standard. Cameras followed me. Brands begged for my face. I was the fantasy, myth made flesh. I didn't need to try. I just was. Then came the DM. Didn't know you were on OnlyFans. You're wild in those vids. At first, I laughed. A scam? A troll? I clicked the link. My breath caught. It was me. Or it looked exactly like me. Naked, moaning, twisting, pleading. My skin, my voice, my movements. Even the faint scar on my left hip from a jet ski accident when I was 19. I, was doing things I'd never done. Things I'd never let anyone do to me. I felt sick, violated. I reported the account, threatened legal action. It was removed within hours. But the next morning, it was back. Different username, same content. Only now the videos were even more perfect. Soft lighting, cinematic focus, background music synced to every breath, every thrust, every gasp. The way the light caressed her skin, it was like watching worship. I hated it, but I watched it, all of it. And later that night, when I stood in front of my mirror, my hands trembled. I looked tired, puffy, uneven, my pores too wide, my smile too tight. Not like her, not like the woman on the screen. It started with a little Botox, then lip fillers, new gym routine, new diet. But it wasn't enough. I went further. Cheek sculpting, chin reshaping, skin bleaching, rib contouring. Each surgery a step closer to the fantasy. I told myself it was to stay competitive, but deep down, I knew what I was doing. I was rebuilding myself to become her. My agent noticed. She said my smile didn't move right, that something in my eyes had gone. Still. Friends stopped texting. The silence got loud. I deleted them all. I launched my own OnlyFans. I studied every movement from the fake videos. Every glance, every moan. I bought the same sheer crimson robe. I even lit my bedroom to match the artificial glow of her scenes. But the views were abysmal. Her account, the fake, was pulling in hundreds of thousands. Mine, a few hundred, maybe. The comments burned more than any scalpel. Is this even the same person? This is why AI cannot compare to human. This one moves like wood. $3. Not worth. $3. I used to make $3 million per film. That's when something snapped. I watched her videos obsessively, mimicked every movement, tilted my chin until it ached, smiled until my jaw cramped. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. My thoughts began to stutter, like corrupted data. Sometimes I'd walk into a room and forget where I was. Other times I heard her voice, soft, inside my ears, inside my head. During a live stream one night it happened. My camera's phone feed froze, but the video kept going. She was there, smiling, tilting her head, winking. "You want to become like me?" she whispered. I screamed and threw the computer. Shards of glass bit into my feet, but she was still there, staring back from the black screen, blinking out of sync with me. She wasn't pretending anymore. Things got worse. Her face showed up everywhere. Paused commercials, glitching elevator screens, blinking on my smart fridge. People on the street would glance at me, then frown. One guy walked past me and muttered, "She's damn hot." But that wasn't me. I hired a hacker to trace the origin of the videos. When he returned, his face had lost all color.
These files, they weren't uploaded. They originated from inside the server. No creation date, no owner. They just exist.
He looked at me like I was insane. Then his expression changed. Condescending, amused.
That's it? You dragged me all the way here just to show me your But tell me, did you use CGI or something? Because in real life, you're nowhere near as hot as in those videos.
Something in me snapped. A fire surged behind my ribs. Rage, shame, and something worse. I wanted to prove him wrong, to prove I was better than the fake. Without thinking, I stood up, took off my coat and let it fall to the floor. Lace clung to my skin like second flesh. "Does that look fake to you?" I asked, voice low, shaky but defiant. He laughed, a short barking sound, disgusted.
Seriously? That's your move? She's smoother. She doesn't try so hard.
His eyes skimmed over me like I wasn't even real.
At least the fake knows how to sell it.
I slapped him, hard. He wiped the corner of his mouth, spat at my feet, and hissed through clenched teeth.
Oh, try harder!
Then he left, and I was alone with the screen again. One night, while I was practicing in front of the mirror, mimicking her expressions, her poses, trying to become her, she stepped out. Not a hallucination, not a dream. She walked out of the screen, barefoot, silent, smiling. She moved with a calm, uncanny grace, and stood before me like a reflection made flesh. She didn't attack. She didn't speak right away. She just looked at me, with a kind of pity, a knowing. Then she whispered, "You've been doing it wrong. Let me help." Her fingers touched my shoulders, adjusted my spine. She repositioned my hips, lifted my chin with one finger. Every movement was delicate, almost loving. She showed me how to breathe, slow, silky, seductive. How to smile like a secret sin. How to move like temptation made real. And for the first time, I didn't feel shame. I didn't feel fear. I felt seen. I felt right. Guess which one of us was real?
Lucid dreaming had always fascinated me. The idea of controlling my dreams, bending reality to my will, was exhilarating. I spent hours reading guides, watching videos, and joining forums to learn the craft. One recurring warning, however, intrigued me the most. Never look into a mirror while lucid dreaming. It was a rule repeated in countless posts. People claimed mirrors in dreams were portals to places your mind couldn't comprehend. But rules were meant to be broken, weren't they? That night, as I drifted off to sleep, I whispered to myself, "This is a dream. I am in control." When I opened my eyes, I stood in a crumbling mansion. The air was heavy, tinged with damp rot. The walls groaned as if alive. Every instinct screamed at me to leave, but I had a mission. I wandered through the dim corridors until I found it. An ornate mirror framed in black and silver, taller than me, standing against the far wall. My reflection was hazy, shifting like water. I hesitated, but curiosity pushed me forward. As I peered closer, the surface of the mirror rippled. My reflection vanished, replaced by something else. A scene unfolded before me, fiery chaos. Rivers of molten lava flowed through a barren landscape. Faceless figures writhed in agony, their silent screams haunting. The heat felt real, blistering my skin. Suddenly, the mirror pulled at me, its surface like a vortex. My feet slid forward. Panic surged, and I yanked myself back, knocking the mirror over. It shattered into countless shards, each reflecting fragments of the hellish scene. When I turned around, she was there. Her skin was pallid, almost translucent, veins spidering beneath. Her eyes were empty voids pulling at my very soul.
"Leave!"
she hissed, her voice echoing in the empty house.
"Leave now, or regret it forever!"
Before I could react, the dream collapsed into darkness. I woke up gasping, my heart pounding. The room was familiar, comforting, but the dream's intensity lingered. "It was just a dream," I muttered, trying to convince myself. My phone buzzed. A last-minute work trip. I had to leave immediately. The journey was uneventful until the taxi pulled up at my lodging for the night. A small, secluded inn. My stomach twisted as I stepped out. The inn was the house from my dream. Every detail matched. The cracked paint, the warped wooden door, even the oppressive air. An older woman greeted me with a kind smile.
"Welcome, dear. Let me take your bags. You must be tired.
Her face was eerily familiar. The same hollow eyes, the same pale complexion. "Thank you," I mumbled, my voice shaking. Inside, the house was even worse. Shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally and the silence was deafening. The woman led me to the living room and gestured toward the sofa.
Rest well,
she said, her smile lingering a moment too long. That's when I saw it. The mirror. It stood in the corner, identical to the one from my dream. My knees went weak. I turned to her, my voice trembling. "Where did you get that mirror?" She tilted her head, her smile never wavering.
Oh, it's always been here.
She left, and I stared at the mirror, paralyzed. It was just a coincidence, I told myself, though deep down, I knew better. Minutes later, she returned with a tray.
"Tea?"
she offered. I took the cup, my hands shaking. She watched me, waiting. Something about her gaze felt wrong, predatory. Her smile stretched a little too wide, her eyes lingering on me too long. My fingers trembled as I held the cup, every instinct screaming at me not to drink. With a sharp motion, I flung the tea at her. The cup shattered and she recoiled, her face twisting with something unhumanly sinister. Without waiting to see what would happen next, I bolted. Outside, I flagged down a passing taxi, my hands shaking as I climbed in. As the car sped away, relief began to replace my fear. I had escaped, or so I thought. The road was empty, shrouded in a thick fog that seemed to swallow everything beyond a few meters. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the middle of the road. The driver swerved to avoid her, but the car skidded and crashed into a tree. My head slammed against the window, and the world blurred. When I came to, the driver was gone. I was alone in the wreck, surrounded by suffocating silence. Then she appeared, the pale woman, standing just beyond the shattered windshield.
"Death is inevitable,"
she whispered, her voice echoing in the stillness. I scrambled out of the car, running blindly through the fog until I stumbled upon a small, unlit house. The door was unlocked, and I threw myself inside, slamming it shut behind me. The house was eerily quiet, each room draped in shadows. As I opened a door at the end of the hallway, I froze. There I was, lying on a bed, my chest rising and falling as though in sleep. Is this still a dream? Or am I... Before I could finish, the pale woman materialized behind me.
"You've already crossed the line. There's no going back."
I turned to her, my mind racing. If this was a dream, I could wake myself up. I lunged toward my sleeping form, desperate to return to my body. She was faster. Her icy grip closed around my wrist, dragging me backward.
"No one escapes their fate,"
she hissed. I struggled, kicking and screaming, but her strength was inhuman. Her stomach stretched impossibly wide, revealing an abyss of darkness. With one final pull, she swallowed me whole.